Hi guys, and we're going to be talking about the core drivers and the tools elements of our design today. Again, I'm joined by Emma Sinclair.
Hello.
And Lindsay Wilson, design lead.
Hi.
Hello. And so we're going to talk about core drivers a bit, and they're actually quite central to the design of the material we've created so far. Linz, again, you kind of shaped the way that this program's been developed. So what was kind of your thinking with regard to core drivers and how it's supposed to affect the way we design this content?
Well, I think generally using core drivers to dictate your content within any course for a contact centre environment is best practice. So we knew we needed to do that anyway, but I think really to take it a step further, my vision is that our trainers in the future will be able to prepare for the courses that they deliver by picking the content that's most relevant at that time. So it's very much using a real-time approach. So an example of that would be that a trainer could pull off a report, see what the most common call drivers are, or have been for that month, potentially speak to some stakeholders who can give them some further insight into something that may impact the most common call drivers that they may see in the next month or two. And actually they can then pick from a bank of content which is all centred around different call drivers, and that can change from week to week depending on the induction that they're delivering and the most common call drivers at that time. I think the key thing is that if we are training out or if we're designing content that's based around a call driver, what it does, it enables us to blend in things like what do you need to do in terms of responding to that call driver, so what systems, processes do you need to follow, how do you actually interact with the customer for that particular call driver. So I think it makes it very real for our learners, and therefore it's going to really support that transfer of learning.
Okay. I mean, and you've worked on some of the modules as well. I mean, is that in what kind of ways has the fact that this is all centred around the customer affected the content?
Yeah, I think additionally to what Lindsay said there, we deliver the training in the method that the customer would approach us as a company. So how does the customer know what products we have? How does the customer know they have a fault in their area? How does the customer self-diagnose when things have gone wrong? So everything that we do is designed in the method that the customer approaches Virgin Media as a company.
Is that particularly different to the way that the original stuff, because obviously a lot of the facts are still the same, like a fault is still a fault and icons are still icons, but so how, if you were to look at the new material and say the existing material, what sort of difference would you expect to see?
Yeah, so previously a fault was a Virgin Media fault, whereas now a fault would be a customer's problem. So something's gone wrong in the customer's home. How does that impact the customer? How does that make them feel? How does that make them respond to us as a company? And also, how soon are we going to get that fixed, or how soon can we get them that new product, that new shining gadget they're trying to get their hands on as quickly as possible?
Okay, so it's very much about the way that it's what the customer would be saying to us when they call up, basically.
We're all consumers at the end of the day.
Okay. So I mean that's kind of your core driver stuff. And obviously moving on to talking about tools, things like Agent Knowledge Base and I know. I mean, Lynn's been just back to you. I mean, in terms of the way that we've built this content, we seem to have stripped a lot of the detail out of the material and make a bigger reliance on stuff like I know. I mean, what was the thinking behind that?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons why we do that. Excuse me. And one of the reasons for that is because, like we've already discussed with dynamic modules, it's about making sure that content stays accurate and up to date. Our tools such as AKB and FDT change on a regular basis. So that would mean that we would be constantly updating our training material if we chose to duplicate those processes in here. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that our agents leave our training with a massive reliance on AKB and FDT, because we know that they drive resolve and ultimately better productivity and performance and provide a better customer experience. So we need to make sure that we do put a lot of focus on those within the training. By making sure that we don't include those operational processes, it means that we don't have to continuously maintain that. But I think most importantly, it gives the trainer the opportunity to put their own spin on that content and deliver it and bring it to life using their own personality, and not really just having to read from content because the process is so detailed.
Okay, I suppose that makes sense. I suppose the one thing that we're all aware of, and it's kind of the elephant in the room to a certain extent, is that I know flows or AKB flows sometimes don't appear to be exactly right. I mean, what's the plan with that? Because if we're relying on it so heavily, as you've already said, to a certain extent, what happens if a trainer finds themselves training something out using an I know flow and they know damn well that it's wrong? I mean, what's the approach they should be taking?
I think the key thing is AKB really is an opportunity for people to share best practice, and that's what it relies on. It relies on people feeding back on that process. It then, you know, that feedback is then validated and the process is enhanced, if you like. Our trainers also need to feed back on that, but I think there's a realisation point there where we absolutely need to make sure that we are also sharing that best practice and feeding back wherever possible on that AKB process or FDT process, because it's only if we feed back that we can ever make it any better.
And the knowledge management team are obviously bought into that too, so that if they get feedback from us that something's wrong or something needs updating or something could be improved, that using their feedback portal seems to be the best way to kind of give them that knowledge that they can improve it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's just the age-old thing. You know, if you don't tell us, we can't do anything about it.
Okay. Emma and Lindsay, thank you.